We spent 3 days taking a road trip right through Slovakia. From exploring the towering peaks and national parks of the Tatra Mountains to visiting charming towns like Košice and Levoča. This trip came with a few surprises though, as Slovakia has some of the most strict traffic rules anywhere in the world. So in this video, we'll show you our perfect itinerary and share some tips of what to look for when driving. We started our journey into Slovakia driving from Poland right through the Tatra Mountains, which are split across the border between the two countries. Before driving into Slovakia, we spent 3 days in Zakopane, which is on the Polish side of the mountains. And before we begin our itinerary, we want to share our experiences and some important lessons we learned about driving in Slovakia. As we said, driving here is extremely strict. While we were careful, we still managed to make the same mistakes each day, mainly because we didn't do our research beforehand. On our first day in Slovakia, we had our first incident. Our car got bolted and we had to pay an infringement for parking incorrectly. As you can see on screen, even though there are cars parked here and there are no signs saying you can't park, Slovakia actually holds the opposite rules. Here, there must be a sign specifically saying you can park there. If there are no signs, it means that you cannot park. As we go through our trip, we'll discuss some of our other incidents. But to summarize, other road rules in Slovakia include a 0.00 blood alcohol limit for all drivers, as well as a heavy police presence. Also, speed limits decrease rapidly. It can drop from 130 km to 50 km per hour as soon as you pass through a town, even on the same road. So if you don't brake quickly enough, there's likely to either be a camera right at the start of the new speed limit or a police officer waiting nearby. Our first stop in Slovakia was Tatranska Lomnica. This was around an hour's drive from Poland's Zakopane. We arrived here just before 9 in the morning. Tatranska Lomnica is a mountain resort town with several different restaurants and lodges around the base area, while it also connects to the Tatra Mountains and offers a chairlift up to the peaks. Here, there are several different cable cars and chairlifts that you can take, which take you to different altitudes of the mountain. The ultimate goal is Lomnicky Stit at over 2,600 meters in elevation, or Lomnicky Sedlo, which is just under 2,200 meters. Before getting to those areas though, there are 2 cable cars that you have to take to get to the start of that area. Depending on where you go, entrance prices vary for a return trip. We paid €34 each for a trip to Lomnicky Sedlo, while you need to pay extra and book well in advance to get to the summit at Lomnicky Stit. Our first stop from the chairlift was Skalnata Dolina, which lies around the middle of the mountain, with a lake sitting around 1,700 meters above sea level. Stepping off the chairlift here, the views were spectacular. The rugged mountain peaks were right in front of us, alongside the unique and scenic lake. You'll also get panoramic views down towards the valley, with far fewer trees obstructing the views compared to the Polish side of the mountains, making this side feel much more open. At this point, the temperatures were noticeably colder, as we had already gained a huge amount of elevation from the base. At the bottom, it was around 15 degrees Celsius, while up here it had dropped to around 5 degrees. The lake isn't too big, it's about 300 meters to go around, and there's a small path that takes you right around it, allowing you to get the views and take photos from different angles. Right in between the lake and the chairlift, there's a mountain hut offering food and drinks. We took a coffee here and prices were pretty good. It's a popular spot for all types of people, from families taking in the sights to hikers who have walked up from the bottom of the mountain. And this is also the point where there are 2 different paths that you can take to get further up the mountain. While Lomnicky Stit takes you to the summit, spaces are extremely limited and spots become unavailable. Additionally, it can be a risky viewpoint to visit if there are clouds that can disrupt the views. Instead, we were told to go to Lomnicky Sedlo, which offers great hiking trails around the different mountain peaks and provides even more panoramic views. Here we are at Lomnicky Stit, and the temperatures here were even cooler, now reaching below 2 degrees Celsius. We were here in July, right in the middle of Europe's summer season. What you can also see on your screen are the amazing views you get from this area. With each step along the trails here, the epic rugged rock formations just blew our minds away. During the winter months, this place is famous for having Slovakia's highest and steepest ski slope. This long ski route takes you from Lomnicky Stit all the way down back to the base at Tatranska Lomnica. It's about 5.5 kilometers with roughly 1,300 meters of vertical descent. The winter season here in the Tatra Mountains generally runs from December through to April. So as we said, different seasons will give you vastly different experiences. Sitting here in front of these jagged rocky peaks during the summer was definitely the highlight of our day. From a distance, we noticed that some of the rocky peaks can even look as though they're covered in snow. The different shades of grey and white across the exposed rock create this almost snow-like appearance, especially when the sunlight catches the mountain face. From here, there's also a summer hiking trail that takes you towards Velika Lomnica Veza. It's a popular landmark for hikers who have made the climb up from the lower parts of the Tatras. It's a mountain hut and offers great food and drinks. After spending around 4 hours exploring the different tops around the High Tatras and Tatranska Lomnica, we hopped back on the chairlift and made our way down to the base. We found that half a day is a perfect amount of time to spend here. However, if you choose to hike up into the mountains, then obviously you'll need to allow for a full day. Before departing for our next stop, we grabbed some lunch at the base, where there are several restaurants offering a variety of local dishes. One popular dish that we ordered was Hungarian goulash. Slovakia was once part of the Kingdom of Hungary, so you'll notice Hungarian influences throughout the country. To spend the afternoon, we drove 30 minutes down the road to reach Štrbské Pleso. This area is also part of the Tatra Mountains, and it's known for having one of Slovakia's most scenic spots being the Pleso Lake. Štrbské Pleso is 19.8 hectares in area, roughly 640 meters long and 600 meters wide. It sits at about 1,346 meters above sea level. It's also known as the second largest mountain lake on the Slovakian side of the High Tatras. When you're on the lake, there's a range of activities to do. You can hire a paddle boat and head out onto the water, or you can take the 2.25 kilometer walking path that follows the shoreline. While there's also plenty of restaurants, cafes and hotels around. Since we came here on a Saturday afternoon, the area was extremely busy. Štrbské Pleso is a popular weekend destination for Slovakians and visitors from across Eastern Europe, so parking can be quite difficult, especially during peak season. Some of the parking areas close to the lake were charging more than 20 euros just to park the car. But a good tip, and something we did ourselves, is to park a little further away down the road. We found a spot for just 8 euros. There are also some free parking spots available occasionally, but during the busy periods they fill up very quickly. Because this spot has become particularly popular on social media, Štrbské Pleso has seen a growing number of tourists visiting throughout the year. And to be honest, when we first arrived, we didn't really like it. Not everyone seemed to be there to respect the surrounding nature, and with the crowds, it didn't quite feel like the peaceful mountain destination that we had imagined. But as we continued walking around to the quieter, far side of the lake, the crowds began to thin out, and the atmosphere completely changed. Suddenly, the area felt calm, peaceful, and pristine. Apart from the walking track around the lake, there are also a range of mountain hiking trails that you can take further into the Tatra Mountains. Many hikers spend the entire day making their way up into the mountains with trails leading to some incredible viewpoints and higher altitude destinations. Since it didn't get dark until after 9 PM when we were here, and it was only 5 in the afternoon, we decided to take one of the trails ourselves. And as we climbed higher into the mountains, the scenery certainly didn't disappoint. Since some of the hikers here start early in the morning, the trails were surprisingly quiet, with only the occasional hiker passing by and saying hello. Everyone we encountered here was extremely friendly and happy to chat. If you watched our video on Zakopane on the Polish side of the Tatras, you'll also notice just how different the scenery was here. The weather was also another added bonus, with a beautiful sunny afternoon making the experience even more special. We spent around 2 hours walking through the mountains before making our way back to the lake just before sunset. And when we arrived back at Štrbské Pleso, there was virtually nobody around. So after such a busy afternoon, we ended up having the lake almost entirely to ourselves for sunset. As we mentioned, there are a number of restaurants located right next to Štrbské Pleso. However, many can be quite expensive and don't always offer the most traditional Slovak food. So instead, we decided to drive about 10 minutes down the road where we found a great traditional restaurant called Koliba Žerucha. Here, we had some traditional Slovak garlic soup served inside a loaf of bread, as well as trying some Slovak dumplings, one of Slovakia's most famous traditional dishes. The restaurant is located close to the nearby village of Strba. It's worth driving through after eating to get a good glimpse of a local Slovak traditional town. We stayed nearby at resort Lomnicky Sad, which is around 15 minutes from both Štrbské Pleso and Tatranska Lomnica. The accommodation itself was fairly basic, but it was around a third of the price of the hotels located right next to the major attractions. The hotel was situated in a local neighbourhood called Mengusovsky, so after a good night's sleep, we got up early and headed out for a morning walk to start our second day. As you can see, the walk from the hotel offered some stunning views, with the Tatra Mountains providing an incredible backdrop. The neighbourhood itself was extremely quiet and for us really represented a more authentic side of Slovakia. In fact, Slovakia definitely is one of the quieter European countries we've ever visited. Walking through the neighbourhood in the morning gave us a great opportunity to slow down and experience a little bit of everyday local life. To stay in this area, we paid around 75 euros per night. If you want a decent place to stay close to the major attractions of the Tatras, you can expect to pay at least 160 euros per night during peak season. After completing our morning walk from the hotel, day 2 for us was all about exploring some of Slovakia's most famous towns and cities. We started by driving just under an hour to reach Prešov, Slovakia's third largest city. Now, we came here on a Sunday, and one thing we quickly learned was that in Slovakia, most stores are closed on Sundays, apart from the occasional restaurant and cafe, so the streets were extremely quiet. Nevertheless though, when we spoke to locals here, they told us that Prešov was quiet pretty much any day, especially compared to other European towns. The historic centre of Prešov is centred around Hlavná ulica. It's surrounded by beautifully preserved historic and medieval buildings. Also, what you see on screen is St. Nicholas Church. It's one of the town's main landmarks with its origins dating back to the 14th century. The town is extremely walkable, with the main street having a number of cafes to sit at. We stopped by for a morning coffee and snack before continuing our journey. In general, the prices here are pretty cheap. We spent about 2 hours in Prešov before continuing our road trip to our next stop. Continuing another hour's drive southeast, we arrived in Košice, Slovakia's second largest city. This place is known for having one of the most colourful, medieval and well-preserved historic city centres in Europe. Now we'll be honest, when we first arrived onto the outer streets of Košice to park our car, the city looked a little rundown. There were quite a few homeless people around and some areas appeared extremely dirty and in need of repair. We were actually a little nervous about leaving our car parked outside. However, as soon as we walked into the main town centre, everything changed for the better. The streets became much cleaner and the historic buildings were beautifully maintained, with the atmosphere feeling completely different. After doing some research, we found that Slovakia is actually a very safe country overall. It's considered one of the safer countries in Eastern Europe. So while our first impression of Košice was a little concerning, we didn't experience any problems during our time there. Now we're in the middle of the main street, and you'll quickly notice the Cathedral of St. Elizabeth, the largest church in Slovakia. On either side, you'll find a number of restaurants with outdoor seating, which is one of the classic features of Košice, and gives the city centre a really lively atmosphere. Continuing on, and another classic landmark of Košice is a singing fountain, also located right in the heart of the city centre. The fountain is famous for combining water, lights and music, creating a relaxing atmosphere and making it a popular spot for visitors and locals alike. When you're here, you'll notice that the water jets are synchronized with the music that's being played onto the speakers. This space was definitely one of our favorite spots in Košice. The main street of Košice goes on for around 1 kilometer, with multiple side streets still good to see. The good thing about coming to Košice on a Sunday was that it still had the same level of energy and atmosphere compared to any other day, with crowds much more bearable. As the screen shows you, most of the stores here on the main streets are restaurants and cafes, so everything was still open. There is a shopping centre at the end of the street that was closed, but that's about it. Apart from the singing fountain that we saw earlier, there's also a number of other waterfalls that you'll see as you continue walking. As we mentioned earlier, the main street is extremely long, but the best part is that it's completely pedestrian friendly and car free. It's actually the largest pedestrian-only promenade in all of Slovakia, even longer than any pedestrian promenade in Slovakia's capital of Bratislava. When we were walking around, we also noticed that there were many day trippers coming from Hungary's capital of Budapest. It's just a 3-hour train ride to get here. In fact, right now, we were just about 15 kilometers from the Hungarian border. After walking through the main street as well as taking a few side streets and getting lunch and some dessert, we headed back to our car. We spent about 3.5 hours here, and overall would give Košice a rating of 7 out of 10. The cafes and restaurants along the promenade were nice, as was the preservation of the buildings and water fountain features. However, we'd much rather the green open spaces and mountains of the rest of Slovakia, as well as visiting the smaller towns. So half a day here was perfectly fine. On the way back to the northern side of Slovakia towards the Tatra Mountains, we drove a slightly longer but more scenic path. This is called Route 547, and it's known for cutting through the Slovak Ori Mountains. One of the great features about taking this route is driving through the beautiful Razin Reservoir. The drive back was only about 30 minutes longer than the way we came to Košice, which was through a major highway and we didn't really see much. Along Route 547, it also took us through various small towns. Our favourite small village that we passed through was Velký Fogor. We even got out of the car to have a quick look around, with the surrounding greenery being just incredible. While taking a quick walk here, we learned that there's a nearby famous local hiking spot called Folkmar Rock. It takes you right up to the mountains that you can see in the distance. If we had more time here, it's definitely something we would do. This spot is a tourist-free gold mine. We also stopped at another great local village called Kluknava, where we had to quickly get out to explore. And after driving 2 hours, we reached our final stop for the day. being Slovakia's UNESCO World Heritage listed town of Levoča. The town of Levoča is a true example of a medieval fortified town. It's held within a 2.5 kilometer long stone wall that was built in the 13th and 14th century. Now, before we continue, I'll start by saying that this was definitely our favourite place that we visited for the day. If you're planning to do a similar road trip through Slovakia, then Levoča is a must addition to your itinerary. Where we're walking now is through the centre of the Master Paul Square. It's surrounded by more than 50 historic Gothic, Renaissance and early Baroque houses. The colour and details of the buildings is a true highlight, with the gardens and plants around making this town truly unique. There's a few restaurants scattered around, but as you can see, being here in the evening, there was hardly anybody around. Our initial plan was to make Levoča our first stop of the day in the morning, before Poprad and Košice. However, the town was extremely busy and we couldn't find parking. Upon learning, on the day we visited, Levoča was actually hosting its biggest event of the year. It's the annual pilgrimage to Mariánska Hora, which is located just above the town on a hill. Each year, tens of thousands of Slovakians travel to Levoča to take part in the pilgrimage. The Mariánska Hora church is what you can see in the background up on the hill. While nowadays Levoča is a quiet heritage town, it has over 800 years of history before it. It was initially an important medieval trading centre and became a free royal town in 1323, which helped the town become wealthy. There was also a cage of shame, which was located in the main square and was used to publicly humiliate people who committed minor offences. There are a few boutique hotels within the walls of Levoča that people choose to stay. They are more expensive, but because the town is so unique and charming, I would say it's worth considering staying here. Restaurant prices are also a little more expensive here than in other parts of Slovakia because of the location. About a 10-minute drive from Levoča is Spitz Castle. This is a popular tourist site, however unfortunately we didn't have enough time to enter. The good thing though is that Slovakia is home to many castles, and day number 3 was all about visiting Orava Castle. Orava Castle is located in Slovakia's north, not far from the Polish border, and from our accommodation it took around 90 minutes to get to. The drive took us through multiple parkland areas within the lower Tatras and Liptov region. As we got closer, Orava Castle suddenly came into view. Dramatically perched above the hill, it was hard to miss. At the base of the castle, there's a small town that's worth exploring. So the first thing we did was park our car and grab a coffee in town. Parking in the main car park cost us €8. The town here is called Oravsky Podzamoc, and the cafe we went to was extremely authentic and had a nice wooden cozy mountain feel to it. There's probably half a dozen restaurants and cafes scattered around here, as well as a church and a hotel. It's definitely worth spending around an hour here as it has a different feel to the other parts of Slovakia that we explored. Now we're entering Orava Castle. There's a ticket office located just outside the entrance, where you can choose from different tour options. We decided to go with the main tour, which costs €13 per adult. The Orava Castle dates back to the 13th century, with the first written record of the castle from 1267. The castle wasn't built all at once. It expanded over several centuries, eventually becoming a huge complex with 154 rooms. The complex was built high above the Orava River, originally as a fortress to protect this important route towards Poland. Once upon a time, Slovakia used to be part of the Kingdom of Hungary, So over the centuries, Orava Castle came under the control of some of the most powerful noble families in the Kingdom of Hungary, including the Zapolya and Thurzo families. The Thurzos in particular played a major role in transforming the medieval fortress into the impressive Renaissance complex we see today. As you walk through each room, you can use an audio guide on your mobile device which gives you more information about the castle and its history. There are also plenty of stairs to climb as you make your way between the different rooms and levels. After spending the day at Orava Castle, it was time to bring our Slovakia road trip to an end. We then made our way back into Poland to catch our flight from Krakow. So to sum up, Slovakia is definitely a country worth visiting. It may not be one of Europe's most popular destinations, but if you have a car and enjoy nature, mountains and exploring smaller towns, you're going to have an amazing time here. So if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to our channel. It would mean the absolute world to us and would help us continue creating more travel content and sharing our experiences from around the world.